goal of today's stream. So let me just bring up the list. Okay, let's go to my Gmail. So if I just go here, we go to our drive, we have the last player officially announced. We got to update our player rankings. I actually have pretty high opinion of Asta, by the way. This is just based on purely player rating. So we have the final player. So we'll fill this in. This will be Asta, aka Neo. Wait, what is he going by Asta or Neo now? He's going by Neo? Alright, I actually like that he's going by Neo because I've known him by Neo in solo queue for a long ass time. Yeah, he went by Asta for a while, which, I mean, it's just so much of a worse name, dude. What's a better name for an AD carry, Neo or Asta? So I'm actually going to be pretty high on Neo, damn. Alright, I'm going to put him at a 79, which is pretty high, but I think he's good. So we'll put him at a 79. Alright, 79, and that's going to be Neo's rankings. So here we go. So this is actually, it didn't change much. It brought Dig's rating a little bit up because I rated him as like a 79. I actually think that Neo is really good. I think Neo and Afromu and Darnock are going to be the best parts of this team. The part that I'm worried about when it comes to Dig is just solo lanes. Like Saligo, I have a feeling he's just going to be the worst mid laner in LCS. I could be wrong. Maybe somebody else will just like choke. Like the only other person I think that could be worse than him, because like the main issue is when you look at all the other teams, the mid laner is normally one of the strongest players, right? You look at the mid lane ratings, it's like Perks is going to be one of the best players on C9, if not the best player on C9. Jensen, one of the best players on TL. I think I have him outside of Core JJ, the highest rated player on TL. PoE, one of the highest rated on TSM. Jizuke was pretty good last split. He'll probably be good again. Palafox, I have high expectations of. Powelter is one of the more solid members of CLG. As far as IMT goes, I mean, maybe their bot lane will show up, Raze and Destiny, but yeah, Insanity looks like one of the better laners. So Blaze and Saligo, I think, are probably going to be the worst within the LCS. So let's just go for my own power ranking. So hold on, let me just take this down for a second. We updated the spreadsheet, bring up a notepad, and I'm just going to discuss mainly like my ratings for teams and like how good I think the team can be. There's some teams that I think actually have some potential that could actually surprise, but I think that most people are going to end up with kind of a similar power ranking. So let's start at the bottom and we'll go up, because I think that's the easiest way to do it. So 10th. So 10th, I actually think that this will be contended for a few teams. There's a bunch of teams that could end up being 10th. Like Immortals could be 10th, Dig could be 10th, Golden Guardians could be 10th. Those are going to be the bottom three in almost anyone's power rankings. They just don't have the star power. Like when you look at the rosters of IMT, Dig, and Golden Guardians, like even on CLG, there's players that you could see popping off, right? Like Turtle is normally a pretty good LCS AD carry. Finn, I think mechanically is going to be better than a lot of the top laners. He always has those classic ints, which was the reason he got hard flamed when he was in EU. But yeah, I mean, I think that CLG is definitely clear of the bottom three teams. Just overall, they have better players than the teams on IMT, or the players on IMT, Dig, and Golden Guardians. So my 10th is going to be Golden Guardians. I actually think that this team could be decent. Mainly like decent as in better than IMT and Dig. So I think this team could be as high as 8th. So max will be 8th for them. I don't think they could get 7th. I don't think that they could be better than CLG. But in terms of how they compare to Dig and Immortals, like let's say Saligo ends up being really bad, Fake God ends up being pretty middling. I could see a world where Niles is better than Fake God. I think Niles mechanically is one of the players that could end up being a star on Golden Guardians. He's one of the people that actually has the potential in him. I'm not as sure about the rest of their lineup. Iconic, don't know that much about him. I've just seen him in solo queue, but even when I saw him in solo queue, he never struck me as like, damn, this guy is like the next coming of like a top tier LCS jungler. Like he just doesn't have that feel to me, right? Certain players do have that feel. Like when I played against Blabber in solo queue, like you could just tell playing versus Blabber, like, oh, this guy's gonna be fucking good. You could tell playing versus Spica was the same way, where you just knew Spica was gonna be good since like season 8 when he was just getting rank 1. When you played against him, you just felt like, damn, this guy has like the capabilities to just play the game at a pro level. He just understands what's going on. He has a really good mentality about the game. So Golden Guardians, I'm going to have 10th. I'm going to have the max of them be 8th. And then I think that 9th place, I'm actually going to switch up here. I think IMT will actually be worse than Dig. So the reasoning for this is like when you compare IMT to Dig, like a lot of people I think have Dig 9th and IMT 8th. But when you compare IMT to Dig, right? if you just look at my player rankings, player versus player, they're only ahead in one spot. The only place where they have a better player, I think, is Insanity versus Saligo. And Insanity definitely could end up gapping Saligo pretty hard, which is something that you just have to like accept. I just think that everywhere else, Dig is better, besides for maybe top lane. Like Revenge is the same type of player as Niles, where I could see him popping off. He has that potential in him. Charlie, why do you eat the floor? What type of crazy dog eats the floor? What's wrong with you? I'm not sure if there's a world where any of their other players are going to be better. I think that Neo and Afro, this is going to remind me of Dig in 2020, where their bot lane was really good. Like Johnson and Afro in summer were really good, but the rest of the team just couldn't keep up. Dig ended up getting 8th place off that type of formula. I think it'll be the same type of thing where Immortals just doesn't have the star power to actually beat Dignitas. So I'm going to put IMT 9th. I'm going to give them plus or -1. So that means that they can be as low as 10th and as high as 8th. So not much potential there. 8th, we just gave the same reasons why Dignitas is going to be 8th. I don't think they can go up at all. -1 would be the worst they could be, I don't think. I feel like Dig won't be a 10th place roster. I feel like Afro Moon, Neo, and Dardoch are just not going to end up being worse than the league. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. All right, so CLG, I think, is pretty locked into 7th. I feel like they should be directly 7th on every single one of these player rankings. Like, I don't know the argument you can make for them being better than FlyQuest. I think that in general, FlyQuest has a better player in every role. Outside of maybe support, like we haven't seen Diamond in LCS yet. He looked really good in Academy, but Smoothie is like veteran, so maybe Smoothie would end up being a better support. Licorice has always been a better player than Finn, pretty much. Jose Dioto versus Broxa, I just feel like, you know, Jose Dioto is the type of jungler that I like, whereas Broxa, I feel like, is very limited. Maybe he'll have a return to form and he'll like start ganking again, maybe on this type of team where there's not as much pressure. He's able to like focus more on himself and what needs to be done in the game instead of like the mindset that I feel like could have held him back a little bit on TL. Like when you're playing with a bunch of really good players, you know, and everything's going to be super critical on jungle pathing, it's really easy to just be like, oh, well, if I do nothing and my laners are really good, we're going to end up winning anyway. So I feel like in a way you could kind of get baited into like continuing to have that mindset. That's at least the way that I see what could have happened with CLG, or what could have happened with TL last year, what could happen with Brox on CLG is like now he has the freedom where it's like if all your lanes are losing and people don't expect as much from you, you can kind of be more willing to like go for your big plays, because if you land some of those big plays, you're going to be praised, and if you fail some of those big plays, it's like, oh, well, my team kind of sucks anyway, so, you know, there's not as much stress being on Rosh like this. So 6th, so I think FlyQuest is going to be 6th. It's very hard to rate them over EG. I want to rate them over EG because I feel like, you know, their upside could be higher. A player like Jizuke is super coin flip. He's not as completely stable as a player like Palafox. Like Palafox in general has better control mages and things like that than Jizuke. Jizuke really thrives on being like super good split pusher, but he does have a kind of unique champion pool and like a rigid champion pool. So we're going to put him at 6th. 5th, we're going to have EG. So yeah, Fly is going to be 6th because of the reasons we just mentioned. Also, like, I feel like the kicker here is Ignar. Ignar is really good at pretty much just like abusing supports that are not super used to playing like in LCS. If you're not a player that's comfortable and understands all the different roam timings that Ignar is going to hit, or you haven't played against him before, I feel like he's the type of guy that, you know, will always find these really unique plays that other people just won't. And normally that's kind of why, to me, Ignar is kind of a noob stomper. When he plays against super good supports, like when he plays against core JJ level supports, he doesn't seem like as dominant because he's not able to actually get those plays off without getting punished. And it's really just up to the enemy support to be willing to punish all the plays that end up being went for by Ignar. All right. 4. So this is like one of the contentions. So I think that FlyQuest EG, everyone normally has him like that. CLG's locked in 7th. So this is actually a pretty big discussion. TSM or 100 Thieves here. So I'm not very hype on TSM's roster. I just don't think that it's that good. When I look at TSM just in general, and we're going to move our thing here because we have TSM and 100 Thieves right here. But when I look at TSM in general, I just feel like they have way more question marks. Like Lost, unproven compared to FBI. FBI was the best AD carry in OC when both of them played. As far as, you know, how I saw them, and based off what LCS teams thought, FBI was better than Lost as well during that. So I feel like they have just a lot of advantage there. Damonte definitely not as good as PoE, but PoE is kind of the type of player that Damonte loves playing into. I feel like Damonte is good when he knows what type of player he's playing against. The players that are able to kind of do everything are the players that do best against Damonte. I mean, we've had Damonte on the Crackdown, right? One of the original things that Damonte said on the Crackdown is that he thought that Jensen was, you know, a better player than Bjergsen, right? Like that's or he said that like Jensen's the only world-class mid laner in LCS, which would have essentially meant that he's better than Bjergsen, right? And that was a huge point of discussion within the community. And I understand why, but I think from Damonte's perspective, a player like Jensen, who at least in the later years has been more versatile than Bjergsen, the ability to play assassins, the ability to like really have a high level mastery on some of the weird champions that Bjergsen just doesn't have that same mastery on, is something that's good against Damonte. That being said, PoE is a control mage player, so if you know that this guy's going to high prio Azir, Damonte is going to be able to figure out whatever he thinks is good. Let's say you know that PoE is going to play Orianna every game. Well, if you're planning not to ban it, you can see things like the Ziggs coming out of Damonte. He's always smart about figuring out what he needs to do. Also, something that's kind of burned into my mind when I analyze these players is CLG versus Clutch Gaming, because we got to see that quite a bit. And that was when Damonte started bringing out the Kiana and all these picks. And I feel like just in general, he's comfortable into a player like PoE. So TSM I'm going to have fourth. Also, we didn't even touch on it yet. Huni versus Someday. I think it's a big mismatch. You know, Huni used to be, I think, a better player than Someday. But at this point, Huni just coin flips like every game to me. And I just don't have that much confidence that he's going to return to top form. So 100 Thieves is going to be here. And now we have the C9 versus TL debate. So I feel like C9 has more potential than TL. Like, I feel like if everything goes well for C9, they can be the best team in the league, right? They have the, like, kind of X factor of Fudge. No one knows how good he's really going to be in terms of LCS. Blabber, when he's on point, he's by far the best LCS jungler. When he's not on point, he's, you know, a filthy enter. So it's hard to know what you're getting there. Perks returning to mid lane, we don't know, or how long it's going to take to have him get back into, like, world's form or like world-class form. So for me, the way that I see this is I think that if C9 ends up clicking, they'll be the best team in the league by far. But I think that TL has a higher chance of being a better team because I feel like almost nothing needs to happen for TL to be good. I feel like TL, day one, you put the team together, they all start playing, they're going to be pretty fucking solid. So I know that there's not a spring and summer split. There's one full season that's called a split, but then there's like a spring tournament in between. So the way that I'm going to analyze this is up until the spring tournament. So the teams, these rankings will be at the spring tournament, how I think the teams are going to match up. And that means that I think C9 is going to be second at that point. I think that it'll take longer to gel. And first will be TL. So yeah, there we go. Power rankings out of the way. Last thing that we can do before we get into solo queue is just looking at the announcements that we got. So the main one is just Misfits announced their roster. So we'll watch that. I actually never watched the video for it. All right, the master plan is complete. So we'll watch this and then we'll get into solo queue.
It might look easy.
I've never watched this.
Center stage. Promised I would win worlds, and I will.
What?
I'll get out of groups. Actually, I'll get two groups of worlds, maybe planes, and then get knocked out by Supermassive or something like that. Honestly, I don't know how people say this with a straight face. These lines, they're so cringe, man. At the same time, I don't even know how we're supposed to do this because we have to make an announcement video. It's Corona, it's just me, you, I guess, and there's no players.
Next!
So, I mean, I guess I'm just gonna like name a player and list off some cool things about him, and then we like go into some hype shots. So like, Razork, rookie of the split, nice, Spanish. And then we cut to a video of him with like a flag waving behind him.
What the fuck?
I think it's pretty hype, right? Shot setup? Great. Next one's gonna be better anyway. Mid lane. That's the one I really care about. It's gonna be a lot easier, a lot better.
Video, man.
Okay, good. I'm so excited and happy to announce my great friend in the mid lane.
Is this the
It's
TSM
Nuke
music?
Dog.
Yeah, dude, it's not Nuke Dog. It's VTO.
It's not Nuke Dog.
No.
is VT.
Hi guys, Video here. Apparently Misfit was looking for a new French millionaire, so I'm really excited to announce that to the big me. Donc, soyez prêts.
Listen, Ben, I don't care that he's talented.
Video's super young, right?
I don't care that he's won your masters already. I very clearly said friend and not French. Because we gotta move on to AD carry. It's Kobe.
Hey everyone, Kobe here, current LCS shoutcaster, and I've got some crazy news today. Honestly, I was shocked when I first got this call, but I have always wanted to be a pro player again. It's been 10 years since I was on CLG, but I really do feel like I have what it takes. And so with that, I'm excited to announce that I will be joining Misfits as the starting AD carry for this upcoming LEC split.
Oh, shit.
Reason number 100 why EU is better than NA, the LEC casters.
Now it gets a bit messy because
All right, number one, they do not
have
have
two
better
supports.
casters than EU than
kind of
NA.
like competing
That's
against each other.
bullshit.
And the first one is Vander. And this is where they want us to say like he's old and we should make all kinds of jokes about how he's close to retirement and all that kind of stuff. But Rogue sold us to him as like a young, fresh rookie, no mileage on him. And I believed him. So I don't think we need to do any old man jokes for this one.
Hi guys, Vander here. I'm here to announce that I'm joining Misfits. I'm quite excited and I can't wait for this to actually start. It's very soon, so cheer for us and be there when we're gonna play.
And for Danik, I should definitely talk about how valuable he is to the team.
Wait, isn't Denik
He's the
same age
captain.
as Vander? I thought
So
Denik
both
was
in-game
25 and
and
Vander's
outside
like 25.
the game, potentially like assisting the coaches. I should definitely say like how broken he is. Because fans will love that. They love the broken meme. And then maybe we just have him sit in his video. He just sits on a bench. That's it, you know? We don't address it. He's just sitting on a bench. Okay. Top laners. We'll have two of them as well, competing for that starting spot here. And I want to start with this guy. His name is Aggressivo. And apparently he's the only player who wrote his own script for how he wants to be introduced. I, Aggressivo, am the smartest, sexiest, greatest Polish top laner. You can call me Pudzianowski. And then he just wrote Polska Guru, which I'm not sure what that means, but okay, last player. We wanted to bring over another top laner to compete with Aggressivo, so we have two guys, you know, fighting for it. And we saw this guy who used to play in France, so he's totally French, by the way.
Bonjour, I'm Hirit from a top lane from
I have no clue who this guy is.
LCS and Fenerbahce. I'm really looking forward to playing Europe again because I'm French.
Good thing about esports, none of the fans are going to be able to tell he's not actually from France. So honestly, I think we got this. I think the whole thing is great, and announcement done, right? We're ready.
I actually wonder how good this roster is going to be. I mean, I guess it's really going to come down to solo lane. I think Kami and Vander will be solid. I think they'll be like at least middle of the pack in the EU. Razork, I was always impressed by Razork. I always thought he was good. Vedio, so I don't know how Vedio's progressed in the last 6 months. I remember last EU Masters I was talking to Veteran quite a bit, and the way he kind of explained Vedio to me is like, Vedio's kind of a Zoe one trick. He's kind of like a Zoe LeBlanc like main or whatever. He doesn't have a huge champion pool. He doesn't play everything as proficiently. So I wonder if he's going to be able to actually play everything, because obviously when you're playing mid in LEC, dude, you're playing against really fucking good mid laners. LEC has always had super insane mid laners, right? Like even their top four. So let's say the top four is going to be Caps number 1, and then you're going to have Humanoid Larson, and then Niski will probably be in that top 4 as well. That's your top 4 mid laners in the league. Like, all of those players are probably going to shit on a rookie most of the time. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how good Vedio is at everything.